The parent visa, subclass 103, is a permanent residency visa that allows parents of Australian citizens, permanent residents, or eligible New Zealand citizens to live in Australia permanently. This visa is available to parents who are not eligible for the aged parent visa, subclass 804, and wish to join their children in Australia. The parent visa, subclass 103, is a permanent visa that allows parents to live in Australia with their children who are Australian citizens, permanent residents, or eligible New Zealand citizens. This visa provides parents with the ability to reunite with their children and live in Australia permanently. However, it is known for having long processing times. You must be the parent of an Australian citizen, Australian permanent resident, or eligible New Zealand citizen. Your child must be an Australian citizen, permanent resident, or an eligible New Zealand citizen and sponsor your visa application. You must pass the balance of family test. This means at least half of your children must be living in Australia as Australian citizens, permanent residents, or eligible New Zealand citizens. Alternatively, more of your children must be living in Australia than in any other country. You need an assurance of support from your child or another eligible sponsor in Australia. The sponsor guarantees that they will provide financial support in case you are unable to support yourself during your stay. You must meet health and character requirements. This typically includes undergoing a health examination and providing police clearance from your home country. While there is no specific age requirement for this visa, the applicant must not be able to meet the aged parent visa eligibility if they are younger than pension age. The parent visa, subclass 103 application process is similar to other family-based visa applications and typically involves the following steps. Before applying, you need to gather the necessary documents, which may include proof of identity, evidence of the relationship to your Australian citizen or permanent resident child, proof of meeting the balance of family test, health examination results, police clearance certificates to meet character requirements, and assurance of support from your sponsor. You can apply online through the IMI account on the Department of Home Affairs website. The application form needs to be completed and all supporting documents uploaded. The visa application fee for the parent visa, subclass 103, is typically around AUD 4,100. This fee is due at the time of application. The parent visa, subclass 103, is known for its long processing times. Due to the limited number of visas available, it can take several years for the visa application to be processed. While waiting for the visa, applicants may remain in Australia if they hold another valid visa, or they may apply for a temporary visa to remain in Australia during this period. Once your visa application is processed, you will receive a decision. If your application is successful, you will be granted permanent residency in Australia. You will receive your visa grant notice, and you will be able to live, work, and study in Australia indefinitely. The parent visa, subclass 103, is a permanent residency visa. Once granted, you can live in Australia indefinitely, work, study, and access Medicare. This visa allows parents to reunite with their children who are Australian citizens, permanent residents, or eligible New Zealand citizens. It is particularly beneficial for families looking to bring their parents to Australia for long-term stays. As a permanent resident, you may be eligible to apply for Australian citizenship after meeting the residency requirements. As a permanent resident, you will have unrestricted work rights in Australia. You can choose to work in any job, including self-employment. The parent visa, subclass 103, is granted as a permanent visa, so it comes with a few important conditions. The visa is permanent, allowing you to stay in Australia indefinitely. As a permanent resident, you have the right to work in Australia without any restrictions. While not compulsory, it is highly recommended to have health insurance while living in Australia. As a permanent resident, you may be eligible for Medicare, but there may be waiting periods for new residents. Once granted permanent residency, you can leave and re-enter Australia. However, if you plan to travel abroad after the first 5 years of holding the visa, you may need to apply for a resident return visa to re-enter Australia. The parent visa, subclass 103, has one of the longest processing times of all Australian visas, with waiting periods often exceeding 10 years. The processing time varies based on factors such as the number of applications in the queue, the complexity of the applicant's case, and the availability of visa places. If you require a faster route to join your family in Australia, you may want to consider the Contributory Parent Visa, subclass 143, which has a significantly faster processing time but a higher application cost. If the waiting time for the parent visa, subclass 103, is too long, parents may consider other visa options. The Contributory Parent Visa, subclass 143, allows parents to migrate to Australia permanently, but requires them to pay a higher application fee and make a financial contribution to the Australian government. This visa has a faster processing time compared to the subclass 103. The Aged Parent Visa, subclass 804, is available for parents who are of pension age and meet other specific criteria. While the application fee is lower than the subclass 103 visa, the processing times are also long. For parents who wish to stay in Australia temporarily while waiting for the permanent visa, the Temporary Parent Visa, subclass 870, allows parents to live in Australia for up to 5 years. After the temporary visa expires, parents can apply for a permanent visa. The Parent Visa, subclass 103, has one of the longest processing times, often exceeding 10 years, which can be a challenge for families wishing to reunite sooner. The Australian government has a limited number of parent visas available each year, leading to significant waiting times. Applicants who do not meet health or character requirements may face difficulties obtaining the visa. The Parent Visa, subclass 103, offers a pathway to permanent residency in Australia for parents of Australian citizens, permanent residents, or eligible New Zealand citizens. While the visa provides important benefits such as the ability to live permanently in Australia and access to Medicare, it is known for its long processing times. For faster options, applicants may consider the Contributory Parent Visa, subclass 143, or the Temporary Parent Visa, subclass 870.